Okay, so we're already in chapter 7 pertaining to documents of title. So what's a document of title, guys? So this is a document used in the ordinary course of business in the sale or transfer of goods. And it is proof of the possession or control of the goods, or it authorizes or purports to authorize the possessor of this document to transfer or receive, either by endorsement or by delivery, the goods represented by such document. So an example of this will be the bill of lading, the KEDAN, the warehouse receipts, trust receipts, and dock warrant. So articles for 1507 to 1520, guys, these are only supplementary rules with regards to warehouse receipts. Ay naamantay special law for this, the Act and Bonded Warehouse Act. So what's the purpose why there are so-called documents of title being used in commerce? So first, they evidence possession or control of the goods described in that document. So it is a convenient medium to transfer title and possession over the goods described therein, without having to bring around those very goods with the transferor, and without having to effect actual delivery. Okay, and the custody of negotiable warehouse receipts issued to the order of the owner or to bearer is a representation of title upon which bona fide purchasers for value are entitled to rely, despite breaches of trust or violations of agreement on the part of the apparent owner. So the document of title, guys, it can be relied upon, okay, by transferees of it. So there are two types of documents of title. We have the non-negotiable documents of title and negotiable documents of title. So in non-negotiable documents of title, it is transferable only to a specified person. Okay, and what the transferee acquires is title to goods as against the transferor, and the transferee has the right to notify the bailee or the one who has actual custody of the goods to the transfer of the document of title. And the transferee also acquires the right to enforce an obligation as against the bailee to hold the goods in favor of that transferee. So a non-negotiable document of title is actually an incorporeal right. And the nature of the transfer of this kind of document is that it is an assignment. And under Article 1624, guys, this assignment is perfected by mere consent. However, Article 1625 nonetheless requires that the transfer of incorporeal right be in a public instrument. Otherwise, it will not produce any effect as against third persons. So take note that there is no legal relationship between the assignee and the bailee until the bailee is informed by the assignee of the assignment of the covering document of title. As long as dili notified si bailee, then dili siya bound by that assignment or by that transfer of non-negotiable document of title. So this is where it gets complicated when we're dealing with negotiable documents of title. So a document of title is considered negotiable if it states that the goods described in that document will be delivered to the bearer or to the order of any person named in the document. So the negotiability of that document is not destroyed by clerical errors or by placing non-negotiable terms, right? So na ay keyword to make it negotiable. Uh, uh, it must be delivered either to the bearer or to the order of any person specified therein. So how do we negotiate these kinds of documents? If the goods are deliverable to the bearer, then it can be negotiated by mere delivery of the document. So the bearer here can either endorse, can just simply deliver the document of title, or endorse it in blank, or to bearer by the person to whose order the goods were supposed to be delivered. If the document of title is negotiable to the order of a specified person, then that specified person must endorse it in order to further negotiate the document of title. So the public policy, guys, is to uphold the negotiability of negotiable documents of title. So it is a species of constructive delivery protected by public policy. And negotiation in due course of those negotiable documents of title will preclude attacks on the invalidity of the underlying sale or the actual lack of ownership of the seller of the goods described therein. Okay? So meaning, whoever bears or in whose favor na ang negotiable instrument can acquire better title to the transferor of that negotiable instrument. Kaya tanawa, if there is negotiation in due course of that negotiable document of title, it will preclude any question on its invalidity or even the title of the seller of the goods or the purported owner of the goods described in the document of title. So title will still effectively transfer ownership to the buyer who can acquire better right than what the seller had. So who can negotiate, guys? First will be the owner or the person to whom the document of title was originally issued. And also, it can be the person to whom the possession or custody of the document has been entrusted by the owner. Provided that the bailee, whoever has actual custody of the goods, undertakes to deliver the goods to such person. Okay, and if the document is in such form that it can be negotiated by delivery, so meaning the goods are deliverable to the bearer. Right, so these are the rights acquired when there is negotiation of a negotiable document of title. So the transferee here will acquire title of the person negotiating the document over the goods covered by the document. The transferee acquires title of the depositor or owner over such goods. Okay, and acquires the right to enforce this direct obligation upon the bailee or carrier to hold possession of the goods in his favor. Okay, so what happens if there is a defective negotiation of a document of title deliverable to order? Okay, what happens is there will be a resulting assignment as if non-negotiable document siya. So the transferee here acquires as against the transferor the title to the goods, subject to the terms of any agreement with the transferor. And as between the transferor and transferee, the goods are owned by the transferee, but not as to the rest of the world, including even the bailee. So the transferee acquires a right against the transferor to compel him to properly endorse the document of title. Okay, and the negotiation will take effect only as of that time that there was actual endorsement. So what if there is an unauthorized negotiation? Meaning it was not the negotiation was not by the owner or the person authorized by the owner. So the rule is that the validity of the negotiation is not impaired by this. Okay, it is not impaired by the fact that the negotiation was a breach of duty on the part of the person making the negotiation, or that the owner of the document was deprived of possession of the document of title by loss, fraud, theft, conversion, accident, mistake, or duress. Right? So therefore, padayon lang, i-uphold man ang iyahang negotiability. Okay? But the rule is the holder or the transferee of that document of title, which was negotiated without proper authority, must have paid value for the document of title and was in good faith and without notice of the breach of duty, the loss, the theft, the fraud, accident, mistake, etc. So if that holder paid value and was in good faith, then there is no real defense. Unlike in our negotiable instruments law, nga kung holder for value ka, there's no real defense against the holder in due course of a negotiable document of title, except only for forgery of the endorsement of the owner. Okay, but only when such endorsement is necessary to effect proper negotiation. So if it's deliverable to the bearer, then there's no need for this. There's no defense. Maka-acquire gyud og title si holder or transferee. So there are warranties assumed by the seller of documents of title, whether negotiable or non-negotiable. So there's warranty on the genuineness of the document, the legal right to negotiate or transfer, that there is no knowledge of any fact which would impair the validity or the worth of the document, and the right to transfer the title to the goods and merchantability or fitness of the goods. However, there is no warranty that the common carrier will fulfill its obligation to deliver the goods, or that previous endorsers will fulfill their obligation. So endorsers of the document of title will not warrant the performance of the bailee. So what happens when the owner of the document of title is not really the owner of the goods? So take note guys, two rules kung negotiable siya or non-negotiable. If it's non-negotiable, then the assignee is entitled to the goods as against the owner under Article 559, which states that the possession of the movable property acquired in good faith is equivalent to title, right? Provided na makaget a hold si assignee sa goods. Okay, exception to this will be when the owner lost the goods or was unlawfully deprived thereof. So in that instance, the real owner can recover as against the assignee. If it's a negotiable document of title, if the owner had neither lost nor been unlawfully deprived of the goods, then the holder buyer will end up acquiring valid ownership over such goods. Okay, but if that's not the case, then the owner can recover as against the bailee, even when the holder is a holder in due course. Provided lang nga sa bailee siya makarecover, pero kung nakuha na ni holder or transferee, then di na niya ma-recover. Unless the real owner was unlawfully deprived or he lost the goods. So what are the rules on levy or garnishment of the goods subject of a document of title? In non-negotiable documents, guys, remember that the assignee must notify the bailee who issued the document of the transfer thereof. And only then will the bailee be obliged to hold the goods in favor of that assignee. So prior to that notification made by the assignee, that his title may be defeated by a levy of an attachment of execution by a creditor of the transferor, or even by mail notification to such bailee na ay levy or attachment or execution of that goods, or a subsequent purchaser from the transferor of a subsequent sale of the goods by the transferor. So any of these persons, guys, if they notify the bailee, it can defeat the right of the assignee. In negotiable documents, while in possession of the bailee, guys, the goods cannot be attached by garnishment or otherwise be levied under an execution unless the document of title is first surrendered to the bailee or its negotiation enjoined or the goods impounded by the court. Okay? That's the only time na mapugos si bailee o release sa goods. Surrender of the document of title, the injunction against further negotiation of the document of title, or gi-impound sa court ang goods. So the goods here are treated as inseparable from the negotiable document of title covering them. Okay, so that concludes our discussion on chapter 7, guys. So I hope you read lang the pertinent chapter in Villanueva. So I'll upload another lecture with regards to chapter 8.